They laughed at my daughter under fairy lights and paper lanterns. Then a black car slid into the driveway like a secret, and suddenly, nobody was laughing anymore. Welcome to Sensational Stories, where every story stirs your soul. Here we bring you powerful, emotional, and unforgettable tales, each crafted to inspire, surprise, and stay with you long after the credits roll. From heartwarming triumphs to dramatic twists, this is where storytelling meets sensation. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because you never know which story might change everything. They laughed at my daughter, then that car pulled up. It was the kind of humid Saturday where secrets stuck to the skin like sweat. The family BBQ was in full swing, smoke rising from the grill, kids shrieking around sprinklers, and adults buzzing on cheap wine and cheaper gossip. I had brought Ellie, my 17-year-old daughter, even though she begged not to come. She wasn't like the others, never had been. While her cousins flaunted their social media dances and matching outfits, Ellie wore charcoal jeans, a plain black tee, and a sketchbook tucked under her arm like armour. Her hair was in a messy bun, graphite smudged on her fingertips. An artist, a quiet soul, and that made her a target. I was reaching for a slice of watermelon when I heard the first jab. "Does she ever smile?" Aunt Karen said with a smirk, her voice just loud enough. "Maybe if she dressed like a girl instead of a mechanic." Snickers followed. Then Cousin Brianna piped in, "She still draws? Like with pencils? That's adorable." The laughter hit harder than any slap. Ellie sat still, staring at her sketchbook, but I saw it. The tightening of her jaw, the blink she held a second too long. I opened my mouth to defend her, but before I could speak, a sound shattered the moment. A low, smooth purr of an engine. All heads turned. A sleek obsidian-coloured car was gliding into the driveway like a panther stalking its prey. It wasn't just expensive. It was impossible. A luxury electric coupe, matte black finish, with a custom plate that read, "In motion." The car stopped. Silence fell. Even the grille stopped sizzling, as if the universe itself paused to watch. The driver's door rose, wing-like. Out stepped a woman, mid-20s tall, stunning. Cropped blazer over silk, stilettos that could kill, and a presence that turned every head like gravity. She wore confidence like perfume. She didn't look at anyone else. She walked straight to Ellie. "Hey, superstar," the woman said, pulling Ellie into a hug. "Sorry I'm late. The runway review ran long." Ellie smiled, genuinely, for the first time that day. Gasps echoed around us. "Who is that?" someone whispered. Ellie turned, her voice calm but cutting through the tension like a blade. "This is Maya Lee, creative director at Lyra Studios. She flew in from LA to give me something." Maya held up a black envelope embossed in silver. "I came to offer Ellie a summer residency in Paris," she said. "Her designs blew us away. Vogue's already asked for a feature." Dead silence. Karen's wineglass slipped in her hand and clinked against the patio tiles. Brianna's jaw unhinged like a broken toy. Ellie closed her sketchbook and stood. "I told you I didn't want to come," she said, looking at me. Not angry, just disappointed. Then she turned to the rest. "But I'm glad I did." With that, she walked to the car with Maya. The door lifted. Ellie slipped inside. And as the engine purred to life and that black beast of a car pulled away, I saw something shift in every face at that party. They hadn't just been silenced. They had been outclassed. My daughter had arrived quietly. She left like a storm. The silence left in the wake of that car was thick. No one reached for another drink. The music, once loud and proud, played awkwardly in the background, some pop song now feeling childish and out of place. Aunt Karen was the first to speak, though her voice was brittle. Paris. That must be some kind of student thing, right? Not real fashion. Uncle Greg cleared his throat. She's what? 17? That's not even legal working age over there. But no one answered, because everyone had seen it. The way Maya, that force of a woman, had respected Ellie, admired her, spoken to her not like a child, but like a peer. And then there was that car, that impossible, untouchable car. Tyler, the cousin who once mocked Ellie for not being on TikTok, muttered under his breath, "Wait, was that the Maya Lee from the Vogue spread? The one with the flame dress?" I said nothing, just chewed my watermelon and smiled into the seeds. Later, as the sky dimmed and people began to pack up their bruised egos and Tupperware, I caught snippets of conversation. She's always been different. Maybe we misunderstood her. Do you think she'd take a look at my daughter's sketches? Too late. When we got home that night, Ellie was already on a video call with Maya. Her bedroom light spilled out from under the door, the soft murmur of ambition buzzing through the walls. I stood outside a moment listening, not to eavesdrop but to appreciate it. This wasn't the voice of a shy, awkward girl anymore. It was the voice of someone who had tasted what it felt like to be seen. The next morning, my phone was flooded with texts. "Hey, can Ellie share some of her designs for my boutique? Do you think she'd give a talk at Brianna's school? Do you have Maya's contact info?" I didn't reply. Because here's the thing. You don't get to mock the storm and then ask it for rain. 3 weeks passed. Paris flew by in postcards and headlines. Ellie was no longer just my daughter. She was Ellie Cross, the teenage prodigy from a sleepy American town who stunned a Paris runway with hand-sketched silhouettes inspired by shadows and silence. The fashion world didn't know what to make of her, too young, too raw, too real. Exactly what they needed. Vogue released the feature early. On the second page, a candid photo of Ellie and Maya standing backstage laughing in half shadow. Her sketches, those same ones she'd been drawing quietly at family parties, were displayed like sacred relics. The internet went wild. And while the world looked forward, I found myself drifting back, wondering how it all started. Because the truth is, even I hadn't known everything. One night, as I cleaned her room for the first time since she left, I found it, tucked inside an old notebook. A letter, folded 100 times. The paper worn at the corners, like it had been clutched too tightly for too long. It was dated from 2 years ago. "Dear Miss Maya Lee, you don't know me. I'm nobody. Just a girl from a place where people don't look up. But I saw your dress on the cover of Vogue. The red one that looked like it was made from fire and sadness. I've never seen anything more alive. I sketch too. I don't know if I'm any good. My family thinks it's a phase. Maybe they're right. But when I saw your dress, it made my chest hurt in a good way. Like maybe there's a place in the world for girls like me who feel too much. If you read this, thank you for making me believe I don't have to be invisible forever. Ellie." I stared at that letter for a long time, feeling the weight of her younger self in every word. Later that night, I called her just to hear her voice. She answered from a balcony in Paris, lights glittering behind her like 1,000 chances. "Hey, Mom," she said, smiling through the screen. "I found your letter," I said. She paused, then laughed. "You mean the one I never sent?" "You sent it," came a voice off screen. Maya leaned into the frame, grinning. Someone on my team opened the envelope. No name, no return address, just a heart, drawn in pencil. We spent a month trying to track her down. Ellie blushed. And then Maya showed up at my school art fair, in sunglasses. She thought I was a stalker, Maya added. You kind of were. We laughed, but I realized something in that moment, something I hadn't fully understood until now. That letter had been a whisper into the void, and somehow the void whispered back. Back home. When Ellie finally returned, she didn't walk in like royalty. She came quietly, luggage in one hand, sketchbook in the other. But the street was already full. Neighbours, teachers, cousins who once rolled their eyes now holding signs. Even Aunt Karen stood in the back, holding a bouquet of badly chosen carnations. Someone shouted, "Ellie, over here! How is Paris?" She looked around, then spotted me. Her eyes softened. I opened my arms. You ready for your next chapter? She smiled. I think it's already started. 5 years later, the applause was thunderous. Not the polite kind, the real kind. The kind that echoed in your bones and made you question gravity. Ellie stood alone at the edge of the runway, bathed in the glow of 10,000 lights. Models had just finished walking her latest collection, sable, light, a contrast of shadow and rebellion, of where she had been and where she now stood. The crowd at Paris Fashion Week was on its feet. Anna Wintour clapped slowly, her signature sunglasses nodding approval. Photographers were already fighting for backstage access. Maya watched from the wings, her eyes glassy. But Ellie wasn't looking at any of them. She stared down the centre of the runway, remembering a backyard party, laughter that wasn't kind, a black envelope, a letter never meant to be answered, a car that purred like destiny. She took a breath. The MC's voice echoed across the hall. And now, the youngest solo designer to close Paris Fashion Week 3 years in a row, Ellie Cross. She gave a slight bow, not to the crowd, but to the girl she used to be, the one in black jeans covered in pencil dust, who had dared to believe in something bigger than silence. After the show, she walked past the champagne, the cameras, the eager questions. Backstage in her private studio, she found the letter again, now framed, the last line still smudged but legible. Maybe there's a place in the world for girls like me who feel too much. Ellie touched the glass. I made that place, she whispered. Outside, a sleek car waited, black as memory. This time she was in the driver's seat. And this time, she was the storm pulling up to someone else's door. They mocked her because they didn't understand her, because she didn't fit into the mold they knew. The one built from loud laughter, shallow compliments, and fearful sameness. Ellie was quiet, different, deep, and different always threatens the ordinary. But what they saw as odd was actually brilliance in disguise. Her silence held storms, her sketches held futures. And when that sleek black car pulled up, it didn't just change the mood of a backyard party, it cracked open a door to another world. A world where girls like Ellie didn't have to apologize for dreaming. That car didn't save her. It revealed her. Now, years later, Ellie walks runways, leads design houses, and writes back to girls who once wrote letters like she did, scared, gifted, and invisible. She is proof that being underestimated is not a curse. It's a weapon. Because they laughed at my daughter once. And now? They remember her entrance like a warning. Never mistake silence for weakness. And never ever laugh at the girl who's still writing her story. Because one day, she might pull up in a sleek black car and change everything. Never underestimate someone just because they don't fit in. True talent often grows in silence, away from the spotlight, and those who seem different or unremarkable today may be building something extraordinary in the background. Mockery may win moments, but grace, resilience, and self-belief win legacies. Treat others with kindness, especially those who walk their own path. Because sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one destined to make the loudest impact.